Hello, today I'm going to look at what to sow in February. I'm Zorab and this is Byther Farm. And what seeds can I sow in February? Well, there's actually quite a lot of them. But I want to start by saying you will need to adjust your sowing times according to where you live and what your local conditions are like. So I've checked our local conditions. I just searched for frost dates, and the site I looked at confirmed pretty much what we know already, that our last frost is likely to be at the end of April. So from then on it's a good time for us to be hardening stuff off outside, ready to plant out in the garden. And today I'm going to talk about seeds that you can start with some heat and also seeds that you can start under cover. So if, like me, you don't have any heat available, have a look in the description below and it will give you a timestamp for when I start talking about the seeds that you can sow under cover. But if you have got some heat, there are plenty of seeds that you can sow. And so you don't need to grab a pen and paper and be scribbling while I'm talking. I've also left a list of all the varieties I'm talking about in the description box. So if you have got heat available to start your seeds off, here are some of the things that you can sow now. Summer cabbages can be started off now. In 2019 I grew a really nice variety called Filderkraut. I really liked the taste of it. It was a pointy cabbage and I gave the very outside leaves to the ducks, but you could eat those. And that cabbage was equally good, both hot and cold, so cooked and served as a side dish, but also sliced very finely and used in a coleslaw salad. Both of them absolutely lovely. So I will be growing Filderkraut again, but I'm also going to try another variety called Dottenfelder Dauer. It's probably not how it's pronounced. Again, I'll leave the information in the box below. But it's another green summer cabbage and I'm really looking forward to trying that one. And you can also sow some red cabbages now. I love red cabbage. I like it as coleslaw and I like it braised very slowly with some wine and some spices and some apples. I freeze that and then have that throughout the winter. So I'm going to be sowing a variety called Red Acre. I'm going to do at least 2 sowings of the Red Acre towards the end of February and then probably at the end of April, so that I get 2 crops, one that I can use in my coleslaw and salads and the other that I can cook and freeze for use during the winter. And you can sow cauliflowers now. I'm still sowing all the year round. So confession is, the first sowing I made back in October failed miserably. The ones in November have done fine, and I'm going to sow some again now because I don't want a whole host of cauliflowers all at one time. I'm just sowing a really small amount, so just getting 3 or 4 plants, because what am I going to do with a glut of cauliflower? I would rather have a small number to harvest over a longer period and then we will actually use them. I'm not a fan of frozen cauliflower, so for me that staggered sowing, so I get a staggered crop, is a much better idea. And still with seeds that you can sow with a bit of heat, it is celeriac. We grow a variety called Giant Prague Improved. I don't start this now, I don't have the heat, so I will wait a little bit, but if you have the warmth you can do that. And likewise with celery. Last year I grew it's like a salad celery, one that you can just eat the stalk. This year I'm going back to one that I've grown before, which is called celery red soup, and the actual stalks have a purpley red tinge to them. I found the taste incredibly strong, so much too strong just to eat a stick raw, but in soups and in stocks it was absolutely wonderful. So I will be growing that again this year, so that I can get it into soups and stews for the winter, because I really like a celery taste in my stock. I think it adds an extra something. There are some leeks that you can start now. Something like Musselburgh can be sown now. I'm growing an awful lot of leeks this year, and again I will be growing a load of different varieties. I will be staggering their sowing periods so that I can harvest them over a really long period during the winter. In 2019 I grew loads of leeks and then I gave loads of them away, and I didn't actually plant enough for us. I like the mild oniony taste of leeks in a lot of food. I like them as a side dish, but I really like those in stews and soups, and during the winter I thrive on soup and on stew, so for me it's worth growing the extras. And you can get your onion seeds in now. I have 3 varieties here. I think I've said before, I've never grown onions from seed before. I've always used sets into the ground. So this year I'm trying Sensu Yellow, Bedfordshire Champion, and I'm also trying a shallot onion, which is called Zebrune, and it could be pronounced Zebruni, but I think it's just Zebrune. Anyway, they're the ones that have got a pink skin, they're elongated, and I really like the mild, almost sweet taste of them, and particularly if I cook them really slowly in a pan and let them almost caramelise. They're just fabulous. And one more suggestion, if you've got the heat to start them, is some tomatoes. Yes! Now 3 years ago I decided I wasn't going to grow any tomatoes. And you persuaded me that I should have some, and I did. Last year I was given a load of tomatoes and I absolutely loved them, so I will be growing those varieties again. I'm also going to grow this one, which is Moneymaker, a San Marzano, a cherry tomato called Cerise, and a yellow one called Golden Sunrise. So they can be started off with some heat. I don't have the heat, so I'm going to be waiting for another 4 weeks before I start those. The one thing I will say about tomatoes though is if your intention is to grow them outside, don't plant your seeds more than about 8 weeks before your last frost date, because otherwise the plants are just going to get too leggy and too hungry, and then they'll end up getting stunted before you can actually get them into the ground. If you're finding value in this video, please give it a thumbs up or leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe for more gardening, homesteading and tutorial videos. So that's what you can start now if you've got some heat. If like me you have some covered area but no heat, don't worry, there's still plenty of things that you can sow now. Again, adjust your sowing times for your area, so further north and in colder areas you're going to push these times back right to the end of the month or even to the beginning of March. I can only talk about averages, and you really must check your frost dates. Try not to sow hundreds of seeds for your windowsill or your greenhouse or your polytunnel that you're not going to be able to get outside. They're just going to become incredibly leggy and you'll need to re-sow. And so you don't need to grab a pen and paper and be scribbling while I'm talking. I've also left a list of all the varieties I'm talking about in the description box. So if you're growing undercover, you can start off beetroots now. This is my favourite. This is Boltardi. It's on a really nice round-ish beetroot. I just like the flavour of it. I like the consistency of it. I have already planted some of these, but for their baby beet leaves rather than for the roots. And at the end of February, I'll start sowing this into modules, 2 or 3 seeds per module, and then I can just plant them out in small clusters and they'll grow on from there. I'm also growing a white beetroot. I like the flavour of it. It's slightly milder. I found it slightly sweeter, and so I'm growing one called White. It's an albino beetroot, and I'm hoping this year to grow enough of that that I will be able to make a white beetroot wine towards the end of the year. You can start broad beans now. These ones are broad bean Aqueductia Claudia. They're seeds that I've saved myself from last year. Now you can sow these in the autumn. And I know that's what Erica over at Erica's Little Welsh Garden has done. She's put up a video of planting out her broad beans. I know she sowed her seeds in the middle of October. She's let the plants grow through winter and she's now got them into a bed. If you haven't seen that video, I'll leave a link in the description. The reason that I don't sow my beans in the autumn and I wait until now is that in previous years I've sown them, they've grown absolutely beautifully, and even though our ducks do an excellent detective job on the slugs and snails in the veg garden, when I've planted my broad beans out, they've just been snaffled by the snails, and so all I'm left with is sad little stumps. If if I sow them now, it's a little bit further into the season. I can get them really big strong plants before I put them out, and then hopefully they will survive the slug and snail onslaught. Brussels sprouts can be started now. I have a variety that I think is called Evesham. There's only shorthand on the packet, so I'm not entirely sure, but I'm fairly sure these are called Evesham. I've really enjoyed our Brussels sprouts this year. Started picking them a couple of weeks before Christmas. Here we are, beginning of February. I'm still harvesting them. And I only grew 6 plants, but I'm not harvesting a huge number at any one time. But I did have some for breakfast yesterday morning. Yes, I know, for breakfast, but it was just, they were just what I fancied, and they were just lovely with some eggs. So those now, according to your area, in a few weeks' time you can start hardening them off and get them outside. They do need a really long growing period. I'm really excited about this. We can start some carrots off. So I've got 2 really early varieties, Amsterdam 2 Solo, Amsterdam 3 Sprint. These will be growing in the polytunnel all the way through, so I will just sow them in rows. I keep my fingers crossed because I'm a bit hit and miss with carrots. Some years I do really well, other years I don't. Last year was a good year, so I'm hoping that 2020 will be too. You can also sow cauliflower seeds under cover, so not only will I have all the year round on the go, but also a green one. You may have seen this in the shops. It's a green, the heads rather than being round, they kind of have points on them, look almost like a lunar landscape. I love them. They're called Romanescu, and I will be sowing a few of those, and also I'm going to have to read the name out to you, Desilica Violetto, and these are a purple, a pale mauve purple cauliflower head. Ones I grew last year didn't grow very big. They were really small, but oh good grief, they were tasty. They were really nice, so I will be growing some of those again. You can continue to grow lettuces under cover. Ours are still doing really well in the corner here. I have sown more. I'm often asked about the varieties that we grow and where to get the seeds from. So I've pulled together a list of every variety that we grew last year, all the plants that are growing in our garden here. And if you'd like access to those lists, all you need to do is sign up for our newsletter, and in our next newsletter there will be a link taking you through to some hidden pages on our website where you'll be able to peruse those. I'll leave a link in the description box so you can sign up for our newsletter. And you can also sow salad leaves like Mizuna. I've got a mustard here called Green in Snow. I also grow the mustard streaks, which is a deep red colour, quite mustardy as the leaves get bigger, but very small leaves, almost have a caramelly taste to them to start with, and then the more you chew them, the more that mustard heat comes through. And also on the recommendation of a fellow content creator and gardener, I'm going to try lettuce Salanova, and this one is called Expertise RZ. Apparently these are exceptionally tolerant to cold and exceptionally tolerant to heat, and I've got to say they were exceptionally pricey seeds, so I'm going to be really interested to see how these do. They're like a cut and come again, but rather than individual leaves you can actually just cut the head and it will regrow. So I'm really looking forward to trying that, and I will report back on the results a bit later in the year. And just as starting off with the heat, you can also start onions under cover. I'm going to do some spring onions. I have already got a row of spring onions in, and so she looking over, I can see that one has started to come up. The 2 varieties that I'm growing are Performer and White Lisbon. I don't seem to be hugely successful at growing spring onions, so I will sow plenty of rows in the hope that some of them come up. And to go with those spring onions, I'm also going to plant some radishes now. So I've got 3 varieties. One is French Breakfast. It's that pink at the top and white at the bottom, standard, recognisable radish. One is called Cherry Bell and is more of a globe, smaller, circular radish. And I'm also going to try a little white radish. This is called Albana. I'm really looking forward to trying it and to see if having a white skin gives it a milder flavour or not. Just 3 more that I'm going to mention. Peas can be sown now. I'm putting them into guttering, suspended in our polytunnel. I've drilled some holes in the bottom of the guttering, filled it with compost, sown my pea seeds on top, and they've been growing away really nicely since the autumn. I'm now going to do some more. And rather than staying in the polytunnel for the season, these ones will get taken outside. I'll dig a shallow trench in the soil and take the guttering and very gently move it like that, and hopefully the peas in their compost will slide out into the channel that I've made, giving very little root disturbance for the peas. Sowing under cover, you can get some spinach in now. I've got a perpetual spinach, but for me it actually doesn't matter what sort of spinach it is. I'm growing it for the baby leaves to add to salads. I eat a lot of salads and I'm not hugely keen on spinach as a large leaf, but I do like it as a baby leaf, so I either sow it in a row quite thickly or several in a module and then plant the modules out. And last but by no means least are turnips. So you can start some turnips. Again, I'll be starting these in modules so they can go outside with minimum root disturbance. And last year I was given several different types of turnips to try. The one that I like the most is a white skinned one, but I'm also going to be trying purple top Milan and one called Petrowski. And you can see these seeds are just saved in an envelope, but I have remembered to label them. So there we go, a race through some of the things that can be sown during February. One more time, I'm going to remind you to adjust your sowing times according to the area you're in, because it would be awful just to sow a whole load of seeds only to have to repurchase and resow them in a month or two's time. And so, wherever you are in the world and whatever you've got planned for today, I hope it's a good one. And I also hope you'll join me again next time.